minutes.
Now,
or less.
remember though, let me tell you, remember, we're on a podcast now. There ain't nobody watching. So when you say you made an interesting observation, you need to say, Mayor, you made, Doug, you made something like this. So the folks are not going to know who the hell you're talking to.
Oh. All right, I'll say it over again. This is Tommy Spina. This show that I am doing for the first time today is called The Real Truth. It is a podcast that I elected to do after I was canceled from our Issues Birmingham, which was a program that aired on Sinclair Broadcasting. I was canceled for reasons that we'll be talking about in this show. My first two guests are going to be Mayor Randall Woodfin of the city of Birmingham and former United States Senator Doug Jones, who will impart to us a lot of knowledge, a good bit of knowledge regarding the circumstances surrounding not just my termination and it really not being about me, but more so about what's going on within media, national media, news, media outlets, and control of those certain aspects of our government. Everybody knows that I had a TV program for 13 years called Our Issues Birmingham that was focused on local issues. It had all kinds of tentacles from politicians to public events, public affairs, city leaders like you, Mr. Woodfin. I should probably go backwards in time and announce that this is my first show and that my first two guests are two of my very good friends. One I've known almost a half a century. One I've known at least approaching 2 decades. Mayor Randall Woodfin of the city of Birmingham. Thank you for being my first guest.
Absolutely.
Along with U.S. Senator Doug Jones.
Yeah, for the record, I'm the 50-plus year veteran of the Spina, Spina world. So.
And you know what's odd that people don't know? When Doug was a prosecuting assistant U.S. attorney before he became the U.S. attorney, he was moving into private practice, as I recall, and there was a bank robbery case. He doesn't even remember, but I remember it. The fellow's name was Larry Moss, who I'm sure he is dead now. And I miss trying good old bank robbery cases.
No, I do remember that case. And what I remember most about that case is, as in typical fashion, as a prosecutor, I had a snitch. I mean, I had somebody on that was,
well, this
whatever.
was pre-videos everywhere.
Exactly. This was all of that. And so there was a guy that cut a deal to testify against Moss, who was a bad dude, okay? But what I remember is that this guy, when asked to identify if he saw Mr. Moss, the defendant, he pointed to Steve Salter.
I remember that case.
But pointed to attorney Steve Salter.
You're thinking about Gator Mayberry.
That's right. That's what it. Yeah.
And Judge Hancock dismissed the case because, see, you know how typical lawyer cases, you see the defendant in the courtroom. Yes, sir, I do. Would you point him out for the ladies and gentlemen of the jury? And he pointed to the lawyer.
Yeah. Yeah, true story.
And that guy walked. And my buddy Steve Salter stood up and said, "Are you talking about me?" And the witness said yes. And judge called recess and end of case.
That's right.
But Doug's last criminal trial, that was not his last.
That's right.
His last criminal trial as assistant U.S. attorney was adverse to me, who was defending this other gentleman, not Gator Mayberry, but Larry Moss.
You're right. It's been a long time.
A very long time. But Joe McLean was around then. And Joe had given me a lot of grief because the case finished around the 4th of July. And I made a big argument about the 4th of July and freedom and celebration in 1776 and hot dogs in America, because I'm waving the flag. You know, I had no defense, so I'm just trying to create a reasonable doubt the best way I can. And then, coincidentally, I get told on August 15th of 2025, some 35 years later, that I need to see my station manager after I finished my final taping with the very same person, Doug Jones, that I participate in his final trial with. If you think destiny doesn't find you, you don't find your destiny. Destiny finds you. And I am told by the station manager, and I'll be nice, that they are going in a different direction. I didn't really...
I want to make sure that this is not just a station. This is a Sinclair broadcasting station. Correct. And I think that that's important because of the what I call right-wing bent and bias of Sinclair broadcasting around this country, which I think is one of the issues one of the problems that we're facing with these conglomerate media companies now and no real true local media. So I wanted to say that on the front end.
It's a very important point to me.
Well, it's an ABC affiliate that owns CW21 and My 68. And it's not just me they were picking on. There was, the reason I had a show to begin with was because they had no news program at the time I started 13 years ago. And the FCC had a requirement at that time that they donate so many hours of programming to public local community events. And so I thought I had job security. And then all of a sudden they started running the ABC 3340 news at 3 a.m. and claimed that was their obligation to the FCC. So Sinclair Broadcasting Group, as they are known, who first acquired CW21 and My 68 and then acquired ABC affiliate, came in and essentially told me when asked, I said, surely it's not about money. I made a little bit of money, but, I don't know what Sinclair's worth.
Yeah. Well,
I
think
several hundred
$100
billion. Three of
billion.
us combined.
I think we should all be concerned when local is not necessarily local anymore when it's related to our news. I think the other thing to be concerned about is there's a national agenda of how cities are portrayed and what broadcasting these national conglomerate organizations feed into and what they make their local affiliates talk about. It's not positive. It has to be something bad in the city. And it's not just the A block, it's several blocks of the news. So I've been concerned for several years, but to see that the rate is moving in the last 9 months is very scary.
The reporting on the city is very scary, is what you're telling me?
Yeah, it's intentionally designed. It's not going to give you anything good.
Do you see it more so on ABC affiliates or Sinclair broadcast?
ABC affiliates. And I talked to mayors across the nation. We've discussed this.
Right. But most of those ABC affiliates are Sinclair Broadcasting.
Yes.
Okay. It's really Sinclair. I mean,
it's Sinclair. This is the organized effort.
Yeah.
To centralize and nationalize, including must-runs that are spoon-fed to the TV anchor to read, that are written by someone else. I don't know who's writing it, but somebody that's not sitting at the desk.
Yeah, I don't think people fully appreciate it unless you travel a lot and you look and you see the same kind of affiliates. But you literally could take a script from an anchor at one local Sinclair station locally and tune in another city and you will hear the exact same thing.
Totally agree.
Different talking heads, but the exact same thing. And I'm like the mayor, it is noticeable that there is the news that comes out from major cities, particularly run by Democrats. It is noticeable the bias that you've got there, and
they don't even try to hide. It's explicit.
I sound like an old Republican, claiming about the liberal bias some years ago. But the fact of the matter is, that's long since been gone. When the Koch brothers and others started building the infrastructure, that is now that message machine. There's no liberal
Who are you
bias.
talking about? Koch brothers.
Oh, the Koch. Well, I forget the name.
They connected with Karl Rove back in the early 2000s. And what they saw in government was a litany of things. These guys are super rich, but what they got into is post the United case, they just like started spending money, not only political races, but C4s and other C organizations to like flood the zone and like pretty much funded the Republican takeover. Is that a fair thing to say?
Yeah, I think that's fair.
They were the initial funders, if you would.
But they really helped fund a lot of local races.
Yes.
A lot of local parties, very conservative. From there, you built a lot of think tanks.
This was not just about this was not just about the White House. This wasn't just about Congress. It was also the play on Supreme Court.
Exactly.
It wasn't just Supreme Court. It was local school board races, local state house legislators and state Senate races. They've been very intentional about this design that we see. And then it was, the fourth branch of government, which is the media. Let's do that too. And like get all in. I mean, this is
and to give them credit, I mean, look, they did it they were all above board. There was not a whole lot of nefarious stuff.
United allowed them to.
Yeah, they were doing these things open. They were courted by Republicans, and they have built this network. And from that network, you've seen the other conservative groups. Everything that we've seen, and Sinclair is a part of that. You know, Charlie Kirk's Turning Point really kind of grew out of the whole kind of network that started in the 80s or so by the Koch brothers. And again, I can be critical only because I disagree with so much of their political philosophy, but I wish there had been somebody on the more progressive Democratic side who had the foresight to do the same thing, and we would not. I think.
I mean,
folks like us.
You think about what I learned as a political science major. I didn't understand it as a kid. I always appreciated the news. I was a news junkie. Literally middle school, high school, college. But I learned this notion of media is the fourth branch of government. And now it makes sense how media is being used to enhance what we see coming out of the federal government level. It's an additional arm of driving the agenda.
Yeah,
that's a real thing.
In this point, it's almost an additional arm. At this day, it's almost an additional arm of the executive branch of government.
Yes,
and that's the frightening part about this, is that it's not just an independent fourth branch.
Correct. That's what it was supposed to be.
It's what it was supposed to be. It is literally it right now. So much is dominated to do the administration's bidding.
Correct.
For better or for worse. And we saw it with Kimmel, and on a local level, we saw it with you. There is no question. How long were you on the air with those guys?
13 years.
13 years. Now think about that. That was
3 station manager.
Mm-hmm.
The first 2 loved me and loved the content, would come in to meet you.
Right.
To meet you, Mayor, meet Senator Jones at the time, and were proud of the content that I was pushing. I got called in during COVID. Tolly and I had nobody to work as overseers. We worked out of my house. After COVID, there was some people that dribbled back into the studio. Ultimately, Tolly, who is my producer here, for those of you who don't know it, Tolly Jones, he's listening to every word we're saying right now, but he will not talk. He may talk, he can talk if he'd like to talk, but as knowing Tolly, he's not going to talk. He's going to pass me notes about things I should ask, and that's okay. I like this format. But in any event, I was just called in and told we were going in a different direction. And I asked her specifically, what does that mean? At the time, I did not know what it meant. And she gave me some answer that was very vague and ambiguous. And I explained to her that I'd really always worked for myself, and I really didn't know what going in a different direction meant. At that time, Colbert had been canceled or in the process of being canceled. Kimmel had not been canceled. Coincidentally, Doug was scheduled to be my last guest. I don't know if they knew that or not. They get my calendar invites of who's coming on. They may have known. But my head was on the chopping block long before we started talking.
Right.
They did not run the first airing of our program. There's a mechanism that automatically uploaded my shows to YouTube at noon. And I guess they overlooked the fact that that was going on. And so the show went to YouTube, and then they ran the 10 p.m. slot.
Right.
And then people started squawking, and they ran it again the next weekend, which originally they had planned not to do. Right. So I don't know if they're just trying to cover up what they felt was so obvious or not. I don't know.
Look, for your listeners here, I think you said something that I want people. I want to
trigger a thought.
I want to go back to it because I want people to see this. And this that you were canceled right after we did our taping. I don't think that was a coincidence at all. That's just my view, but I don't think it's a coincidence. But the important thing that you said a second ago for your listeners is that this occurred prior to the Charlie Kirk murder, prior to the Jimmy Kimmel cancellation. So the point is, this handwriting has been on the wall with folks like Sinclair and Breitbart, all other folks like this. This handwriting has been on the wall. And it's not like you were a bomb thrower for the left on your show. You weren't. Even my discussions, we were very measured in what we were saying.
Our last show was our most leftist.
It was, but even then it was quite measured. But I just think there is an intolerance for different points of view from folks like Sinclair these days. And that is not good for America. It's not good for democracy. It's not good for the people.
I find it interesting because this notion of small government, limited government, freedom of speech, protect the Constitution, all of that seems to be out of the door because it's attached to power now.
Yeah. Government is controlling. Government is trying to control more today than they have done ever in my lifetime. Yes. And that because most of it was...
you mean media is trying to control government?
No, I mean government. I mean the executive branch of government is trying to control more into people's lives, individual lives, control their thoughts, control their speech.
Correct.
To make look what's happening that's connected to you with just this past week, where 9 universities were given ultimatums. You better do X or you're not going to get any federal funding. And you've got to toe our line and have no other line, or you're not going to get federal. Your funding is going to be at risk. So the media is a part of this.
Yes.
But it is education. It is the military.
Yep. You saw that this week.
You only saw the secretary's really buffoonish speech in front of those generals the other day, and thank God they did their job and sat there stoically. But I don't think
they didn't walk out. I thought they walked out.
They didn't walk out. They
just sat there.
They didn't walk out.
They gave no emotional expression.
They did exactly what the military is supposed to do, and not be partisan one way or another.
Just receive the information and listen.
Exactly. These are our orders.
No, you're right though, Senator. It's everywhere. We see it at a local level in books, right? And people attacking school boards.
Yeah.
But you take over 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue and it goes more global, and you say, we're just going to disband education. Like literally, like at the federal level, there's no Department of Education. But it's not just no Department of Education. It's research at medical institutions and four-year institutions. It's like there's an attack, not just on the media, there's an attack on education.
Yeah.
Research, medicine, the things that, when you think about innovation, the things that have made America stand out from other countries in our world's existence is our ability to lean in on science and innovation and research, all those things, and education. Right now, all those things are under attack.
Well, you made an interesting comment. It caused me to reflect upon my termination meeting, which lasted about 15 minutes.
Now, remember though, let me tell you, remember we're on a podcast now. There ain't nobody watching. So when you say you made an interesting observation, you need to either say, Mayor, you made, Doug, you made, something like that, so the folks are not going to know who the hell you're talking to.
Oh. All right, I'll say it over again. Doug, you made an interesting observation about the money aspect. The first thing out of my mouth to the station manager, Jennifer Hansen, was, this can't be about money. And her response was, isn't it always about money? It's a $3 billion company. My 1099, not even $20,000. And that was annually.
Right.
For shows I would go in and tape and get paid by the show, a flat rate, and come back every 5 or 6 weeks and tape 3 more shows. And I had no oversight. Tolly and I would talk about guests. You know, who do you want to have? I see people in the street that come up to me, I really enjoy your show. And I would always thank them for watching and ask, what would you like to learn about? And so it became sort of a history show. I had former governors, former mayors.
It's a great show.
It's a great show.
It was a good show.
It was like a really good show.
John Archibald was my first guest. He's well aware of what's happened, but it is about money. And it is about money in the sense that you're talking about, because these mergers that are being talked about by Sinclair with other broadcasting companies have to be approved by the FCC. Correct?
Yeah.
And the FCC controls the purse strings that are controlled, in the FCC, I would think director is controlled by the Orange Man.
Well, it is now. I mean, which, by the way, his hair is not as orange as it used to be. It's pretty, it's kind of like
blonde.
Yours. I mean, it's, Tommy, for those that have not
It's
watched
messed up like mine, but it's not gray.
It's getting pretty close.
Well, I have no defined hairstyle. Everybody knows that about me. That's because I haven't brushed my hair
But you know,
in
Tom,
50 years.
When it is about money in these mergers, but you know, y'all, people need to think about this. All of the stuff going on in Washington, D.C., national programs like Jimmy Kimmel, but this is now filtering down to a local lawyer who has for 13 years provided a service that was an enjoyable service. It was an informative service. It was not a political show, even though you had political people on there on occasion.
No, I never bashed anybody or tried to get adversarial.
Not at all. It was a discussion, the kind of civil dialogue that we need to be having, but yet there was probably more of a center-left bent to it overall.
Just because of me.
Because of you, exactly. And that was intolerable. I am telling you, I believe for that company-owned station, that was just intolerable. They don't want those voices out there. They're biting what they can, their lips and their tongues till they bleed, because they have to made the decision to put Jimmy Kimmel back on the air.
You know what's crazy, Senator, thinking about what you're saying? During the presidential election in 2024, it was overemphasized that the Constitution would be under attack, but it fell flat on like the average American voter, or they didn't care. We find ourselves literally less than a year later that the presidential election is over. And the Constitution is literally under attack. This notion of free press, free speech. You're canceling people, you're canceling shows locally, nationally. When people can't say what they want to say, I mean, something's wrong here.
Yeah.
Something's wrong.
That's right. And in part, I think it fell flat in 24 because we are such a great country. And people are saying, no, that can't happen.
It's happening.
It can't happen here. There are checks, there are balances. We know that, and it just can't possibly happen here. But it's fascinating the way the cancel culture has flipped the script.
Yes.
Charlie Kirk, who, look, I was as devastated by any political murder as anybody on that. Charlie Kirk started his march for change with Turning Point because of attacks. He was attacking universities' cancel culture, where they were denying conservative voices.
Correct.
An absolute legitimate concern that he had. I saw conservative voices getting canceled across various colleges and universities. Not people just saying, hey, I disagree and I'm not going to go, I'm going to boycott. They would cancel the whole thing. John, and now the script is flipping, and it's the more progressive voices that are getting canceled
yes.
across campuses. The administration is threatening campuses to not have those voices, and it's in the media. And it's
concerning.
That is the attack on the First Amendment, the attack on the Constitution, that I think people just have been sleepwalking a little bit to say we're just too great a country to allow that to happen. But it is happening, and is happening more and more, and people need to kind of start, I think, really waking up
yes.
to what's going on.
Yes, well, absolutely.
Let me ask two things. First of all, our country, I don't think within our country we get it in general. Outside of our country, in other countries who look up to us, they're beginning to look down at us.
Oh, yeah, no, yes, absolutely.
Because I hear it, because I travel. And they're worried.
Yeah.
We're the pole star of what everybody wanted to be.
Right.
And now we're what everybody doesn't want to become.
Yeah, there's some bread and butter of every country when it comes to a country's identity. When you think about our Constitution and all the amendments, that First Amendment is that's like our bread and butter. Like, in those things, those are fundamental rights that, free speech, the ability to just have media that's the opposite of being controlled, and an organized message that is scary.
It is that First Amendment is the reason this country exists. Okay? If you think about why colonists came over from England primarily and then broke away, you can delineate those right there in the First Amendment. Freedom of religion, freedom of speech, the right to assemble, all of the freedom of the press, all of that. That's why we exist. That is the identity. That is the American identity.
Spot on.
And quite frankly, we've gotten so far away from an American identity right now that everybody, I think, identifies as I'm a Democrat, or I'm a Republican, or I'm whatever.
An American.
Before they identify as being an American. And that's where we have to kind of pull people back in and understand that American identity.
As we've watched our country, and of course I've been a criminal defense lawyer 47 years now, taught it, had to read the dissenting opinions of all those Supreme Court decisions that established so many of the rights that we've clung to for so many years that are eroding away these days. The pendulum at the Supreme Court level swings. So I'm not talking about the Supreme Court in this statement I'm about to make, but I'm talking about the media and that freedom of speech. Do you see it even possible in any time frame for that pendulum to swing back towards the center and get away from where it is now? Is it reversible? Or do we just not turn on our televisions?
I like the no turning on televisions from an economic boycott standpoint.
Agree, 100%.
On the pendulum piece, and I think the senator's in a way better position to answer these questions because he's representing us at a national level and he understands the tenor of how this country moves. I would simply say all pendulums swing. I think my concern this time is that norms are being disrupted at a rate, all right, breakneck, the speed of it, right? This notion of flooding the zone. What we've witnessed in the last 9 months has that happened in this country since its existence at the rate it's happening. All pendulums swing. Will it swing back? Yes. How long will it be before it swings is the real question.
Less than 1,200 days now, I think I've got it calculated.
So here,
Hopefully.
I think people, if you want to think about it as a pendulum, which is the standard way everybody does, I don't think that pendulum has stopped swinging and is still going. And so I think we have to focus on slowing that pendulum swing right now.
We haven't reached maximum centrifugal force.
We have to slow it, and it's got to stop before it swings back.
All right.
And I think there are opportunities to do that. I think October 18th, with the next No Kings rally, we need to, that needs to be talked about more and more, where people around the country need to pick that day or a day and come out and show a peaceful support for opposing what this government is doing at this point. Very peaceful. It's got to remain peaceful, because we'll play into Donald Trump and the military's, his view of the military, Pete Hegseth's military, play into the hands. But that pendulum has, I think what we're seeing though, and I may be wrong, and I may be just Pollyannish about this. I really think what we've seen in the last month or so though are people of goodwill that have just sat back a little bit, are now beginning to find their voices,
Right.
now beginning to say things, now beginning to get engaged. I see more and more. I got invited to a group to speak up in Marshall County later in a month or two. And it's a group that's growing of folks up there that are concerned. Just the other day, I had to have my physical at St. Vincent's. And I'm pulling out of the parking deck, and there is a gentleman, probably mid to late 50s. And he asked me about politics a little bit. He said, "Are you going to get back in?" I told him, "I'm not sure. We're looking at things." But he said, "I've been a pretty conservative guy and voted pretty conservative, but generally voted Republican most of my life." He says, "But I'm really worried about what's going on right now. This is scaring me. This is a guy working at the parking deck." And I'm hearing more and more of those voices, Randall. People like that you don't really expect to say, "I'm concerned." Used to, guys, y'all know how big the election was in 2017. And for around the country and in Alabama, so many people, when they would see me and Louise, they'd stop us and say, "Gosh, thank you. You gave us hope." The thing that I hear most often now is, "Are we going to be okay?" And it's just not people that voted for me. It's people that are concerned about what's going on. And we need to help do what we can to empower those people to speak up, to do the things, to stop that pendulum.
One individual at a time, if you have to.
Absolutely.
Everybody I talk to, I tell them, it's time to speak up,
Right.
Stand up. Don't just sit there and watch it as a spectator, but don't be violent under any circumstances. Right. Just speak it like the First Amendment allows you to
Absolutely.
do. So in our last segment of the final act of our Issues Birmingham, we got into a brief discussion about the lack of dialogue that exists on Capitol Hill. So this is addressed to Senator Jones, for those of you who want to chastise me for not identifying who I'm talking to. It is my understanding that you said not only are the Democrats not talking to the Republicans, but the Republicans are not talking to each other. Is that what you meant to say?
Well,
and is that
it's not the same
full-blown statement?
Yeah, it's not the same kind of dialogue that they used to have. I mean, voices get drowned out in those caucuses. When the president, who is a Republican, threatens people in those caucuses that if you don't do what I say, I'm going to run somebody against you.
All right, hold on right there. Tell these people that are listening what you mean by caucuses.
Okay, so in both the House of Representatives and the Senate, Republicans have a caucus. It is all Republicans. They meet. It's
So
their,
like a subcommittee?
it's
No.
their club.
It's the R club, and then there's the D club.
Yeah. And and like in the Senate, there on Tuesdays, there is a caucus lunch. The Republicans have their own caucus meetings. Democrats have theirs. They also do other things. There's policy groups that meet, and they meet separately. These are not committee meetings. These are not joint efforts. They're only the members of the party, and they discuss their strategies. Okay, and something similar goes on in the House. They're much bigger because you've got 435 members of the House, which means you've got over 200 Democrats and over 200 Republicans. So those meetings are like it's a lot different. But the caucus is just generally referring to the group of Republicans or the group of Democrats. And so one of the problems that you've got right now is you've got a president who is essentially threatening Republicans to stay in line. If you don't support me, I'm coming after you. And he's had some success in doing that. Not completely, but he's had a lot of success. And right now, that threat of a primary is really taking hold. And people do not, they
That's
think,
in May, right?
Yeah, so I want to chime in.
it's whenever they're up. When they're up for election.
The senator's saying the Republicans will never, look, there are two things here. They're either all in or they're being held hostage. And another way to say that is all in, meaning they support the agenda and they run through a brick wall for the agenda, or they're held hostage to supporting the agenda because they'll be primary. And there's an organization, I think it's like 8 or 9 figures who are ready to primary these people at the sound of the go green light of what the president tells them. That is a fact.
Yes.
It is true.
Yeah. His super PAC. His super PAC
is like, is it 8 or 9 figures?
It's a lot of money.
It's over 7.
It's in the hundreds of millions of dollars right now.
It's a ridiculous amount of money. And
if you throw in Elon Musk, who's threatened to do the same thing.
That's how you about to get the 8 to 9 figures for it.
Yeah. Then you get into billions potentially.
So the scary part about this is, again, I go back to the Constitution, and we had 3 branches of government on purpose to have balance. And even within the one branch of the legislative branch of government, the whole notion is compromise. Compromise actually is a good word. No one gets their way all the time.
Everybody comes away feeling a little bit put upon.
You just figure it out. You get to the middle.
Tommy, it's like you're like me. You're an old rock and roller. I know you. You're an old rock. It's the Mick Jagger school of politics. Yeah. You can't always get what you want. But if you try sometimes, you just might find you get what you need.
Well, I like settling a case. Somewhere between the two extremes, you reach a compromise.
Yes.
In a perfect world, both parties come away from that compromise feeling a bit put upon.
Yes.
That's a good compromise.
Yeah.
Because it can't be all one
But
way.
it doesn't have to be a compromise in principles. That's what people don't fully understand.
No, you don't have to compromise your
principles. You're not really compromising principles, but there are means to an end, and there's things that can do, and you can compromise an outcome without compromising principles, and I think that's important. I also want to mention, you talked about the 3 branches of government. For the record, we all 3 know the 3 branches of government, which is the legislative, the executive, and the judicial, unlike some of our elected officials in Washington, D.C., who do not know the 3 branches. Maybe he has learned those in the last 4 years or so. Just saying.
You mean the governor wannabe?
Just saying. I'm just saying.
Does he live here? Does he live in Alabama?
Another interesting podcast.
We'll do that one on our next show. I appreciate both of you coming to see me. Senator Doug Jones, Mayor Randall Woodfin, not only people that are in the forefront of getting our country what we feel like is back on the track it was created to be on. I appreciate you both taking the time to be with me today in my first podcast.
Well, look,
and Randall Woodfin, of course, we go back a ways as well.
For me, I'm honored to be here, but I would also say this: I am encouraged that you're going to continue to do this, and continue now. I think empowered a little bit to speak a little truth to power, where you're controlling this content. So keep doing what you're doing, and I hope to be back.
I echo the Senator's comments in saying that you are a voice. You're one of our most trusted local voices. And I hope this podcast gives you the freedom to keep not only leading us in that space, but doing what you do best.
Thank you. You give me chill bumps. I appreciate y'all being here today.
Yes, sir. Our pleasure.
Thank you for joining me today on The Real Truth. My name is Tommy Spina. I hope you enjoyed today's conversation with Mayor Randall Woodfin and former U.S. Senator Doug Jones. I hope you will follow or subscribe to my podcast and listen in to the next episode. If you found it valuable, please take a moment to rate it and review it. It helps us to reach more listeners that care about the issues that matter. Share it with a friend. Stay engaged and remember, the truth matters. I'll see you next time.